Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Sully squad. Huge Sixers win yesterday. Thank God. I think the whole Delaware Valley was ready to have a nervous breakdown after blowing that game. Well, I should say almost blowing that game, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank God. And have you guys seen a more Jekyll and Hyde player in the playoffs right now than James Harden? I mean, he's either like 40 some points or he looked like Ben Simmons on Friday night. It's
Yeah,
absolutely crazy.
yeah.
But we got our special guest. We got Sixers insider Sean Bedard on here to talk some Sixers. So hey, what's up, Sean? How you doing?
Yeah, doing well. I guess like if you told me at the start of the series that we'd be sitting 2-2 after 4 games, I'd be all right. But it feels like it's been the most improbable route to get there. And yeah, the James Harden roller coaster has been something on it. It's been all or nothing so far, but he absolutely deserves the credit for bailing us out yesterday in game one. So shout out to him and happy we avoided that collapse yesterday.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
I hear you. So hey, Sean, I'm happy to have him on. I got my we're missing Fuji, but I got my man Sean Kilrain to my left.
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Mr. 6 for 6, Diego Bianchi on the top corner. What's up, bro?
What's going on, dudes? How you doing?
Good, man.
Hey, like we said, we're doing much better with that win. Sean, I'll ask you. What a lot of criticism of and Embiid got some criticism towards the fourth quarter with what happened with Horford. How big a role do you think PJ Tucker is playing on this team? Because they look like Tucker got right up in his ass.
Yeah, for sure. And that's why he's here. That's why the PJ Tucker signing was made. It was not an 82 game signing. It's for the playoffs. That's why he's here. They haven't had a guy like that is willing to get up in people's faces, especially Joel Embiid's face. Because it's one thing to see him, picking on Paul Reed on the bench and get in Paul Reed's face. It's a whole nother thing when you're going in the face of the MVP of the league. And he's right. He talked about after the game how when Joel is being aggressive, there's nobody that can guard him one-on-one. And Joel had kind of taken his foot off the gas, that he looked completely wiped at that point. Played a lot of minutes. Paul Reed only got in for 6 minutes. That was the most Joel's body's been tested since the regular season, really. So frustrating to kind of see him tail off. It was disappointing to see Horford get the better of him for stretches, especially because Joel looked good early on. For the first stretch of that game, he looked healthy. He was getting to his spots. He was getting his touches, doing his thing, and then it kind of faded on as the game went out. I do think a lot of that is due to the conditioning, and it's the unfortunate reality of the situation of what he's dealing with. He's looked healthier than I thought, but yeah, and the huge N1 by PJ Tucker too, right before he got in the grill of it. That was massive for the swing of the game too. Completed it with the free throw. So he is that glue guy and that guy that brings the toughness, and the team needs him. So as much as people can complain about the contract and the lack of box score impact, there's elements that he brings to this team that has lacked in years past, and everyone should be happy to have him on our side.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So James Harden, what's up with him? Why is he so up and down? How can he fix that?
Yeah, I wish I had a better answer for you. I'm as confused as anybody, and to some extent, like I didn't know that James Harden had this in the tank on the good side. I'm impressed with the 45 game performance in game one. I didn't think he had that left, and then completely tailed off. Games 2 and 3 were as bad as pretty much possible. He's such a hot and cold player in the way that he can shoot you in or out of a game. But the Sixers need that, especially with Joel like struggling down the stretch yesterday. They would not have won that game without James Harden, and would have been up here criticizing Joel pretty strongly if it was not for the Harden bailout and him getting hot and taking over down the stretch, hitting that big time three to eventually win the game. So he's done a great job manipulating the pick and roll. Whenever he gets switches, he's getting his separation. Jaylen Brown, that's been the adjustment from Joe Mazzulla, is putting Jaylen Brown on Harden as the primary defender, and he's had a lot more trouble with him. Brown battled some foul issues early on yesterday, which I think allowed Harden to get in his flow, get to his spots, and do his thing, and the momentum carried him from there. But yeah, if they can get the version of James Harden that showed up in games 1 and 4, I feel good about the Sixers winning the series. If they get game 2 and 3 James Harden, I don't feel good whatsoever. So he is very much the X factor at this point.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, and I'll tell you another guy that we'd really like to get going is Tyrese Maxey. I mean, you look at game 3 in particular, he was really terrible, 4 out of 16, and then yesterday it was 6 out of 17. I mean, there's Boston's length seems to give him so many issues. I mean, is there trying to think if there's, I wonder if there's anything that they can do. Maybe try to put the ball in his hands a little more or something. What do you think that they could possibly do to get him going?
Yeah, it's definitely frustrating. It looked like they made it an intentional effort to get Maxey more involved as far as bringing the ball up the court, having Harden playing some off-ball sets, specifically at the start of last game. He is very much bothered by the length. I mean, Boston's a good defensive team. Like this is how they're built, how they're made. Is they have these switchable guys, these big guards. They have a ton of length, and that's all things that give Maxey trouble. I've been disappointed by the shot selection. That's something that we're not accustomed to seeing in Maxey's play. He's a pretty smart player when he's on the court. He's taking some dumb shots and also just some out of control shots around the rim, which also is not a common theme for him. He's usually very good about being smart about those kind of decisions. So I've been surprised and disappointed by that through the stretch. There's been moments like him taking Robert Williams one-on-one, and it's just like the reputation of Robert Williams is he's one of the NBA's best rim protectors. Just know when to pick your spots a little more. But the Sixers need him. He's no longer this guy that he's this I guess icing on the cake if he's doing something well. He's an integral part of this team and an important player. So to some extent, I think he's a little bit in his own head and trying too hard to make sure he makes an impact. He's got to let the game come to him a little bit. But the shot selection has been the biggest thing that I've been disappointed in. And honestly, I think trying to get him some just catch and shoot spot up opportunities, some easy looks that way is probably the best way to get him going. But once again, that's easier said than done.
Just to add on that point a little bit, Tobias and Maxey are combined for 16 for 49 this series. Yeah. We could say if we had 10 shots to that, we're looking at a complete different series here. We maybe win one of them other two games. So it's both of them struggling. Really, I feel like that's given this team it's making it harder for this team to win games. It has to be Sully Embiid carrying, or it has to be Harden having these incredible games that we didn't even think he had in him left because of these two guys' struggles, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's spot on. And I mean, you look at the biggest stars of this series, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown on the Celtics, and then James Harden and Joel Embiid on the Sixers. Even through the ebbs and flows and ups and downs, I think the Sixers duo has been better than the Celtics duo so far in this series. But the difference is the role players on the Celtics and the supporting cast have been pretty significantly better than the Sixers. I mean, we're talking about, you can make an argument like George Niang, who I didn't believe had a role on the floor coming into the series based on matchups. I thought it would be a mistake to play him. He's been one of their better options as far as the series. He's doing his thing. He's getting up his shot, and he's played really well. So as great as that is for George Niang, and shout out to him for, I guess, delivering on the opportunity that Doc's giving him, that just shouldn't be the MO and something we're counting on. We need these other guys, the Tobias Harris, who just is really struggling and is back to a bad version of Tobias Harris, where he's too slow with the decisions, not willing to catch and shoot. Seen way too much of that. DeAnthony Melton had an awesome game one and has had some moments, but been pretty inconsistent as well. So there just needs to be a little more from the supporting cast, and that would make life a whole lot easier on both Embiid and Harden, and just give the Sixers a better chance outright as well. So I do agree that Tobias has kind of found a way to duck some of the criticism in this series, which is usually not the case for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny too, because I love DeAnthony Melton, but I don't know if I've ever seen a guy miss more bunnies than DeAnthony Melton. I mean, you put him around the basket.
Hold on. So we used to have a guy on our team named T. Stiebel. Missed more bunnies than him I never seen in my life.
Yeah, well, you know what's funny too. It's funny you brought up Matisse Thybulle, because I was thinking the guy that we got from Matisse Thybulle, McDaniel. I really thought he was going to play a bigger role in the series.
Yeah, where is he?
Well, he's played himself out of the rotation, it looks like.
Yeah, I was surprised by that. He didn't see any minutes in yesterday's game. I like McDaniels, and he's for sure got some weaknesses. He's not the most complete player, but I would be playing him at least somewhat significant minutes in the series. He definitely should be eating in some of the Tobias and Niang minutes, purely from a matchup standpoint. That you look across the board, and Boston has more length, more athleticism. They're just much better athletes and play at a different pace than the Sixers do. The only real counter to that is Jalen McDaniels. This is a guy who is 6'9", 6'10". He's quick twitch. He can get vertical. He's a lob threat. He's very athletic, wide wingspan. Those are the type of players that the Sixers need to just add more to in the mix. He didn't look great in the minutes that he has gotten, so I understand Doc going away with it, but I just think based on the matchup, and especially when we see Jaylen Brown just getting whatever he wants, and Tyrese Maxey, as much as I talked about the offense, he definitely has a target on him defensively that they're trying to get that switch as often as possible. And as a credit to Maxey, he is fighting, he is competing, but there's just certain aspects when you get a 6'2" guard on Jason Tatum, it's probably not going to end well. So I would like to see McDaniels back in the mix and getting some opportunity against these premier scorers on Boston. And he really is kind of the Sixers' only splash of athleticism that you look down this bench. So I wish he would play a little more than he has, and I hope he at least sees the floor tomorrow.
Speaking about Tatum, how did Tatum get away with that call yesterday on Maxey?
Yeah, crazy. And even crazier is they just did the referee report and confirmed that it should have been a no call, which is to me crazy. And they also confirmed the Joel Embiid charge that Marcus Smart took there, which I think both of those are wrong. And the fact that they reviewed it and then now did the double review in the morning and the day after and then confirming both is crazy to me.
In Philly, too. You would think that could happen in Boston. I get that. In Philly, them calls got to go our way.
Yeah, no, I was surprised by it. We saw Doc Rivers speak about it post game, which I like to see a little bit of that fire from him because he's typically avoids those kind of statements, but he was pretty firm on like I believe that's a push off, and like as much he said one of the things he said is like as much as I'm on board with don't let the calls decide the game, let the players decide the game. Like that lack of call very well could have decided the game, and he's right about that. And so it's going to be interesting to see if there's any adjustment from a referee standpoint. There's been a lot of strange nitpicky stuff already through the series, stuff like PJ Tucker getting called for like shoving Marcus Smart to the ground when they kind of get tangled up on the letting that go or calling a foul on that one and then letting go the Tatum one. So it's been inconsistent. It's been frustrating, but they just got to, I guess, keep playing through it and hope for the best.
Yeah, I think in the one game, Jaylen Brown put his shoulder down like he was a running back in the NFL, went right through PJ Tucker, no call. Something happens half as aggressive on the other end of the court, and they're blowing their whistles like crazy. It's insane.
Yeah, PJ looked at the ref and they didn't say nothing to him.
Yeah, I mean, the way it's funny because the way some of these calls have gone, and I'm not usually a blame the ref guy, and I'm not going to be here, but it's ironic that we actually got the call in what was it, game 1 on Maxey. I mean that with all these other calls have gone Boston's way. Thank God we got that one because otherwise it'd be 3-1 right now.
True.
Yeah.
That was a big one. I got one since we're one thing it seems like especially game 3. It seemed like Boston, you were touching on these role players and stuff, and it seems like Boston was like a step or two quicker to the ball so many times. And I'm just kind of wondering, do you think that maybe like a Daniel House could possibly get some minutes at some point, just because he's a good athlete and he can hit an open three, or do you think it's too late for that?
Yeah, I mean, Doc's been pretty firm about wanting to keep the rotation short. It's interesting. If you asked me before this series, like my mindset was, I thought based on the athleticism and the quickness that Boston has, the size, I thought guys like Georges Niang were straight up unplayable. I thought he was a guy that had to be on the outside. I thought this was a series where McDaniels and Daniel House were going to be guys that could potentially shine. And you give a lineup where it's like DeAnthony Melton, James Harden, McDaniels, Daniel House, and B-Ball Paul. That's a pretty athletic 5 and something that I think can hang with this Boston team. We really have not gotten that. We've been more stretching out. So at this point, I don't expect it to change. And once again, like if you'd asked me going into this series, I absolutely would have said I think this is a series where we see a splash from Daniel House because he is a guy that, like, as much as he's pretty scatterbrained in his play style and another guy that is far from perfect as a basketball player, he does bring a spark to the floor, and he's a guy that will compete and play his butt off. So I do like Daniel House, and I would not mind if they kick off the dust and let him get some run, but I wouldn't say I'm expecting it.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I have I always make Diego laugh because I wrote an article and I said Daniel House was a good acquisition, and then we were at
you're like, he's going to play a key role in us going to the NBA Finals. And I was like, we didn't even see him play, Joe, but all right, then when we were here, and I'm like, there was a point in the season he was like the last guy on the he came in, made a dunk, and Joe's like, I told you Daniel House is going to help us at one point.
Yeah, it was funny because we went to the Pistons game in like December and they were up by 20 and Diego's like, here comes Daniel House. I'm like laughing. I'm like, I told you, It was kind of like back in the day, like the Sixers used to have this guy back in the late 80s, like Kenny. His name was Kenny Payne. He was like this draft pick they drafted from Louisville, and he stunk, right? Mm-hmm. And he was like a first round pick, and like the Sixers would bring him in when they were up like 20 and the crowd would, and then he hit a couple threes and they'd be like, yay, it was like guys, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah, so go ahead, John, my bad.
No. Go ahead. All you, man.
I was going to ask exactly what you got at the bottom of the screen. What are you thinking about Game 5, Sean?
Yeah, it's tough. This team has been such like a night to night. I have no clue what to expect at this point. I did like that they seem more focused from a tactical and energy standpoint coming out of Game 4. I think that was their best effort, specifically in the first half for sure. Game 5, I do think Boston probably takes Game 5. My gut feeling right now is Boston takes Game 5, Sixers come back, win Game 6, and then it's for all the marbles in Game 7. That's probably how I see this blueprint going from here. But I would love to be wrong, and I would love to see the Sixers go into Boston and steal one. They've already done it once this season. They've been capable. Hopefully, Embiid took a nice recovery day and looks like he can play more like himself. I also I get it's the playoffs and you should be playing your stars like as much as possible, but at this state that he's in and definitely not 100 cardiovascularly, you got to limit his minutes a little more and make sure he has all the juice for the ending. I think that came back to bite him in Game 4. So overall, I do think the Celtics probably take Game 5 and then we're back with our backs against the wall. But who knows? This team could very well surprise me. And if we get the best version of James Harden, that could go very differently.
Yeah, so I was going to say, I mean, maybe
defense on Brogdon. Brogdon is just lights out with those threes, man. It's so annoying.
Yeah.
Well, he woke up this series.
Yeah.
He's a good player. He's a good player. He's a guy. Yeah. He's been around the NBA for a while. He's a solid guy, former 6th man of the year dude, and has been a starter in this league. And he's really filling a hole that the Celtics needed and hurt them in last year's finals, specifically not having a true point guard where Marcus Smart was the guy making all the key decisions. And Marcus Smart, who is still an important player to their team, no doubt, but there's definitely stretches of the game where he is not the most intelligent guy with the ball, and he'll make some reckless decisions. So having a guy like Brogdon where they can hand off the keys to the offense for times is a big deal for the Celtics team. And a thing the Sixers have done specifically that's been frustrating to me, and I would like to see adjusted a little more, is it feels like they're overhelping and leaving their guys way too quickly, that they're basically making the Celtics' life easier by willing to collapse in the paint and give help. You got to just have trust in your guys to stick with their one-on-one matchups because that's what the Celtics want. They want to collapse the defense and create those open threes. That's how their offense functions, and the Sixers are just making life too easy for that to happen. So Tobias Harris has been especially brutal on it. James Harden has pretty much zero off-ball instincts. So that's something that I would like to see adjusted, and just to be like, stay to your man one-on-one and trust your teammates to do their job on theirs.
Yeah.
So okay, so you're thinking Boston wins tomorrow. What would you? What do you think the Sixers can win a game out there?
Yeah. I think Boston wins Game 5, Sixers win Game 6, and then Game 7. I do think there's something a little different about this Sixers team. Like both of the games that they've won in this series have been games that in years past they just don't win. They don't win a game without Joel Embiid in Game 1, which James Harden just put the team on their shoulders for that. They also don't win a game in which they were just in the middle of a brutal collapse, and like to find a way to just mentally overcome that and find a way, that's a big deal. And sure, it wasn't pretty. There were a ton of mistakes made and a ton that they should be nitpicking and ripping apart in film today. But the bottom line is they did get it done and they did find a way to win. And this series is 2-2. So these are games that I think past Sixers teams would not find a way to come out on top. So that is a reason for optimism. And honestly, if we can get to a Game 7 for all the marbles, I still have some confidence in this team. And I do feel better about this series, even sitting now, than I maybe did going in. Because while the Celtics team is definitely very good, definitely solid, and they have a ton of talent, they're not unbeatable by any means. And we're seeing that on any given night. The Sixers can get the better of them. So it's just got to be 2 out of the next 3.
Yeah, I got a comment here from Chris Rapizzi. He says, "What's good, boys, Joe? I said this before. Tobias Harris needs more points." I agree with that. I think that he's definitely got to step it up. That's for sure.
He's been lost, man.
Then how about some of the other series though? Like Mike, here we got a comment from Mike Fuji. He says no suspension for the Joker. Yeah, what's your thoughts on some of these other series as far as the in particular like Lakers Golden State? The Lakers smoked them the other night. I know Diego and I were talking about this earlier. I think I'll tell you what, it wouldn't shock me in the least bit if LeBron gets to the finals.
Yeah, he definitely has a chance. That's an entertaining series for sure. Anthony Davis, in many ways, is kind of the Lakers' James Harden in the way that when he's on and playing his best, he looks like one of the best players on the planet.
Yeah.
But there's also games where he's completely looks like he doesn't have it. And that's kind of been the ebbs and flows of this series of when the Lakers win and when the Warriors still won. The Warriors are doing some fun stuff tactically to try and spread the floor and not allow him to have an impact. That's been mainly the battle, is as much as LeBron is still that guy, Anthony Davis has been the X factor and the swing for whether the Lakers can get the job done or not. So that's been the story to watch, and that's unfortunately been the story of Anthony Davis in recent years for sure. It's like he's one of the most inconsistent players across this league, but when he's at his best, there's very few that are better than him. So that is what I think the difference will end up being in that series. I'm still not counting out the Warriors by any means. I mean, this is 4 championships in 8 years. This is an absurd thing in the NBA. So for them to already have that done, most of the core to still be intact. Curry is playing arguably the best basketball of his career. It's very impressive that we've had the whole Curry mania in years past, and he is still doing it. And he's even grown as a passer, his decision making. So there's a ton to like. It's fun basketball, but all those matchups have been very fun. So that's probably been the most enjoyable series so far. And then the Nuggets Suns has been a fun. I mean, all these series have been great. This has been some really good playoff basketball. I do think it's the right call for the Joker not to catch a suspension for that. I do think it's crazy, the whole thing that happened. It wasn't enough to he got a technical for it. It wasn't enough for punishment beyond that. But yeah, crazy for the owner to be grabbing the ball, for Jokic to be throwing a little elbow in his chin. And in fairness, and I will sneak in my Jokic digs, this is now 3 straight playoffs where there's been some sort of altercation with him. And it does surprise me that kind of the reputation does not stick to him in the way that it does to other players for the tantrums and the altercations, because they absolutely happen pretty regularly with the Joker.
Actually, to touch on Steph Curry a little bit, in my opinion, he's the hardest player of all time to game plan for. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think the thing that makes him special, I think that's a fair take for sure. The thing that makes him special is he is as dangerous without the ball as he is with it. And there is nobody probably in the history of basketball that works harder off the ball to create his own shot. I mean, if you just like zoom out and watch him for a whole possession, it's unbelievable the amount of ground he covers just running around and creating things. And that is just impossible as an opponent. And shout out Jared Vanderbilt on the Lakers, who's done a phenomenal job for the most part. But he's following him around. He's all over the place. But like to some extent, there's just not that much you can do, because he can get a shot off with it just takes a split inch. It just takes a quick second, and he's letting it fly. We know his range extends in the complete half court, so it's impossible to fully stop him. Jordan Poole's been pretty bad this series. That's been probably the biggest thing holding the Warriors back. He's supposed to be that third guy that is able to run the show a little bit when Curry is off the floor. I think he's averaging about 11 points per game, which is way below his average on the season. And they need more from him. But Curry's been every bit the superstar he's proven to be. And when he has it going and you see that look in his eye, there's just nothing you can do. So that's always the scary factor when looking at it from the Lakers' perspective.
You know, it's funny when Curry first started, I hated him so bad because he wouldn't miss, and the NBA was still a little bit behind. He was like the only player, like the only team that was just putting up threes. I hated him so bad, and in my opinion, he has become the most enjoyable player to watch play basketball, I think, ever. In my opinion,
it's amazing when he gets going. Like the shots feel like they're worth more. Like it just like breaks you.
I know.
It breaks you in a way that like no other player is capable of. It like when he has that like statement 3-pointer that just brings the house down, it's like the most back-breaking shot you can have against you. And it's like nothing I've ever seen. And there are just those waves where he'll score like 8 points in the span of like 45 seconds, and you just like look up and just like what just happened. So it does happen in a way that I don't think we've ever really seen before. And shout out to Curry for creating his own real style and brand of basketball, and he's absolutely mastered it.
For sure.
So when he gets going, it reminds me of a former, I think it was either a Nintendo or a Sega game where it was like NBA Jam. Yeah, and it'd be like he's on fire, you know.
Yeah.
But sitting here, I've been thinking about this for a while, but sitting here and having this conversation actually gets me. I want to do a show on who, like who are the most influential NBA players of all time, and I would put Steph Curry on that list. You got Wilt Chamberlain, obviously, for old heads because they changed the rules for him, right? Then you got, well, yeah, Bill Russell won a lot, but I'm saying as far as changing the way the game's played, it's definitely Wilt Chamberlain, right? Yes. Then you got MJ MJ and the Dream Team brought the game globally with the Dream Team, right? So you got to say they were really influential. And then modern day, I got to say it's Steph Curry because, to Diego's point, like ever since the Splash Brothers and Steph Curry in particular, but Klay Thompson too, obviously, the whole league has changed. They literally changed the way NBA basketball is played. So I think that would be a great show to do as far as trying to see, hey, who is the most influential or what are the you know what I'm saying? Like I think that's a great idea.
I feel like up until that team, basketball was played inside out. Now it's played outside in. He has completely changed the NBA and the way it's played.
Yeah, and basketball as a whole too. Like you even look at like if you go to like a random like young kids game, like you look at them warming up, nobody wants to do the layups around the paint. Everyone threes from deep. It's like three-pointers are now everything, and that is a testament to Steph Curry. He's absolutely changed the game and absolutely deserves to be on that list. So it is pretty crazy, just like how far the influence has fallen, because like and the NBA is now headed down this path, and basketball as a whole, that like I don't see it changing. The more the analytics point to it, the more that we see these teams having success. Even you look at a team like the Miami Heat, like most of the responsibility for this run, don't get me wrong, Jimmy Butler's been great, and there's other reasons too, but they went from the 27th best three-point shooting team in the league in the regular season to the best three-point shooting team in the postseason, and all of a sudden they're winning. So comes a point where the three-pointer is like the neutralizer, that they're going to get them off, and it is crazy, and Steph is definitely at the forefront of that whole movement.
Now, do you think that hurts the Sixers a little bit, that they got to play through a center opposed to playing through a guard like most of the NBA does?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely a guard and perimeter driven league at this point. We see some of the issues. It's not the easiest thing to build around a center in today's NBA. And even if you look at the game winning shot by Harden, that was a shot drawn up for Embiid. Embiid just had to make the call and pass it because he was getting doubled like that. Those are shots that you can take away from big guys that you just can't from perimeter players. Like if you run a blitz and double Harden on the perimeter like that, it's way more easy to manipulate in that you have other guys you can kick to. And Embiid, don't get me wrong, he beat it. He made the right basketball decision, and it obviously paid off, but for the Sixers because Harden knocked that down. But the point being that you can take away that shot that hypothetically is your best shot as a team by giving your best player that chance. So it definitely does. And I think the solution is having guys that are just willing to let it fly, guys like Georges Niang that have no hesitation. But where the Sixers more get burnt in all this is when we see moments like Tobias Harris, like pump faking a three and dribbling into the mid-range, stuff like that. Like that's where it kind of catches up with them, because those are the looks that they need from the guys around them. Embiid's been very vocal that he wants Maxey taking 12 or more threes per game, which it sounds like an absurd number, but like the Sixers need that. So I do think it hurts them, but to me, it's more on like the role players be ready to fill that gap.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's crazy. I got one. Just getting back to that Lakers series real quick. I just got one more comment here. Let me know what you think of this. Hachimura and Vanderbilt, especially bringing D'Angelo Russell back, has turned this Lakers team around, but it all falls on Anthony Davis, how far they go. I guess we probably all agree with that, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And shout out to Rob Pelinka for giving this team a puncher's chance, and the way he completely remodeled that entire roster midway through the season. I'll hesitate a little bit on giving him praise because it was a self-inflicted problem and something that he created in the first place. But I guess in the positive swing is he did address it. He did find a way, and this team has looked significantly better. They were the best team in the NBA for the second half of the season since it's been constructed, and that speaks to just like, you can't just sell your soul for talent, that you have to have the pieces that fit into place in the proper way. So that's what the lesson that Lakers definitely learned. And you can't count them out in this playoff run. And if they can find a way to win this series against Golden State, I like their chances against whoever comes out of that Suns Denver series too. So the NBA as a whole is pretty wide open right now, and Lakers are certainly in that mix.
Yeah,
how impressive is LeBron James playing at 38 years old?
Yeah, there's like moments throughout a game where it's just like, I can't believe he can still move like that. Like he'll do like a little reverse dunk or something like that. He's mastered a lot more, especially in these later years where he's not pedal to the metal for all 48 minutes of the game in the way that a lot of players are in must-wear. It feels like LeBron has a good feel for just like knowing when he needs to push it and when he's like can coast a little bit or hang out and let other guys do thing. And Austin Reeves is a name we didn't mention too, who has been phenomenal for them. They keep adding more to his plate and he keeps responding. And I really haven't seen LeBron put that amount of trust in a guy in a while. And it's impressive for Austin Reeves to be stepping up, calling plays, run the show for stretches. So shout out to him for delivering them. And this Lakers team turned from like unwatchable basketball for the first half season to one of the more fun teams in the league. So they are fun to watch, and it'll be exciting to see how that series turns out.
Yeah. Undrafted free agent Austin Reeves was, right?
Yeah. Oklahoma, correct.
Yeah, nice.
I know. How come we can never seem to find guys like that?
No. Yeah. Not even like second round, like Draymond Green, Jokic, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you look at the Heat roster, they got 7 undrafted guys on their team. It's like the talent's everywhere. You just got to find it. But the Sixers have not exactly struck gold on that.
You gotta have an eye.
Yeah, well, I know. What are you? But that's like the Sixers have like Ray Charles as the scale. You know what I mean? What the hell are you guys looking at? You know what I mean?
What was that guy's name? But
we need to get Adam Sandler.
The Adam Sandler part.
Adam Sandler out there.
Bo
I don't
Cruz.
Remember his name in the movie.
Bo Cruz.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, real quick before we get out of here. Speaking of the Heat, who do you like in that series? Like, who do you think the Heat? I mean, do you think the Heat are going to wind up beating them, or you think the Knicks come back?
Yeah, it's impressive because I was basically expecting Milwaukee to sweep the Heat in the opening round. I didn't think this team had much of a chance at all. I still think the Knicks are the significantly more talented team, but I'm also kind of scared to ever bet against Jimmy Butler at this point.
Yeah.
There's moments where he just takes over a series in a way that very few players can. And I was especially impressed in that Milwaukee series, him just like taking complete stepping to the spotlight and having that, like, the thing that fascinates me with Jimmy Butler, and I talked about this a little bit on my podcast for a while, is you think about like a defining trait for an NBA player, like Steph Curry's the 3-pointer. We see like guys that are ridiculous passers or elite shot blockers. Jimmy Butler's like defining trait is just like his will to win. Like it just doesn't matter. He's just going to find a way, and he's the best at it, and it's impressive. So I almost am bought into the point where I think the Heat could win this series, but I do think the Knicks are the more talented team. But I think there comes a point where an individual player matters so much in the NBA playoffs that I kind of think Jimmy Butler and the Heat are going to get the job done. Yeah,
here's Fuji. Fuji couldn't make it tonight, but he says don't bet against buckets. That's true. I agree. I agree with you there. And okay, so if Miami does make it, do you think? I mean, we know the Sixers. The Sixers. I'm afraid of the Heat because just as Spoelstra and buckets. Do you think the Heat? If the Celtics move on, do you think the Heat will give the Celtics a tough time?
Yeah, I think whoever wins this Sixers-Celtics series goes to the NBA Finals. I think either one of these teams beat the Knicks or the Heat, whichever comes out of it. I've said all year that I thought the best 3 teams in the NBA come out of the Eastern Conference, and by that I meant the Milwaukee Bucks, Boston Celtics, and then Sixers. Bucks have not panned out. I'm still pretty surprised by how that series went for sure. But I do think the Celtics and Sixers, whoever wins the series, has the inside track to an NBA championship. So I'm not going to fully overlook the other team. I mean, the Heat for sure. They can be nightmare fuel and pull something out on a nightly basis. And the Knicks are a very solid team. They don't have any real holes. They lack a little bit of the top end talent, and that as great as Jalen Brunson is and Julius Randle is fine. Like they're not exactly the A-tier superstar that you need at that stage. So I do think whoever wins the Sixers Celtics cruises by the other team, and probably 6 games is what I would put it at, depending on how this all shakes out for both matchups. But yeah, either way, I do think the top 2 teams in the Eastern Conference are playing each other in the Sixers Celtics right now.
Yeah, you have to believe it. The Sixers get over the hump that's been haunting them for the last 4 years, especially against a team that's been haunting them for the last Joel Embiid's whole career.
Yeah.
We should take care of business easily in the Eastern Conference Finals, no matter who it is.
Yeah, I believe so. This is the hurdle. They got it right in front of them. And honestly, there's a part of it that I think is more mental than anything. That it's just like we've hit this same wall over and over and over again. That once they get past back, there might be a bit of a freeing feeling of like, okay, we can actually do this now, and they need that. So best of 3 series now. They've never extended a Celtics series to, it's always been 4 or 5 games that they've lost in years past. So at least at the minimum, they're one game deeper in this playoffs, and hopefully they can win 2 out of 3 and get the job done.
Yeah, let's get it. And hey, if we don't, like you touched on the Bucks, I think the the whole NBA next summer. Did you read where it said Giannis? There's a report that Giannis isn't quite ready to sign an extension. So the whole NBA will be going for him in about a year if he's not signing an extension. That'll be like the next big. You know how the NBA is almost like a soap opera in the off season. That'll be like the next big thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And there would be plenty of conversation around Joel Embiid. There still might be if it doesn't happen in this round. If they had lost this last game, like, not to blow it up into more than it was, but that would have been like an organizational, like potentially organizational dismantling loss. That if they had gone down 3-1 and now pretty clearly not winning that series, because even the Sixers at their best probably don't win 4 in a row against the Celtics, or 3 in a row against the Celtics team. So if that was the case, it would not have shocked me if there's some huge conversations. And I still think there's a ton on the table for the Sixers if they don't get by this series. So for now, the focus is purely on winning 2 out of 3. But yeah, there's going to be some real long-term effects based on how this series shakes out.
Yeah,
let's play what if real quick. What if Sixers lose the next 2 games? What are we looking at?
I think for starters, Harden walks. I think it's that there's so much smoke around him going back to Houston thing that is making me nervous at this point. And there are the people who will think about it is it's a just using it as a negotiation tactic, a little leverage in the Sixers deal talk, because by all accounts, the plan was going to season for him to opt out of his contract at the end of this season and then reach a long-term agreement. It's a prove-it year for James Harden. And I don't really know how I feel about this, because we've seen the best and the worst in a very short amount of time. So if he can prove that he still has games like game 1 and 4 in the tank, it's tough to not re-sign him and give him just about as much money as he wants. But you also got to think, like, he's not getting any younger. And if there is like a bidding war, it wouldn't shock me if the Sixers just pull their cards. And frankly, it wouldn't be the worst decision in the world. So that's probably the biggest X factor. I also think Doc Rivers has been the first name on the chopping block. But to Doc's credit, I've actually been very impressed with, for the most part, his decision-making throughout this year. I don't think he would be at fault if they lose this series, depending on how these final couple games go. But I've been pretty satisfied with Doc, but it still wouldn't surprise me if just as a scapegoat, if he ends up getting cut off either too.
I agree.
Yeah, Ryan Smitty can't see him leaving Daryl Morey. And Miko Spencer, if Doc loses this series, is Budenholzer from the Bucks an option?
Potentially, yeah. I think he's pretty Doc Rivers-like to some extent. He's like the downfalls of Budenholzer are pretty similar to Doc, and by that I mean like the not quick at making adjustments on the fly. Doc's more of a player's coach. Budenholzer a little more of the analytical mind. I think their offense is probably there's probably some more creative things done offensively through Budenholzer than Doc. Doc's is more of a just lean in and let the players do their thing. But I don't know. He's definitely on the table. He'll definitely land another NBA head coaching job at some point, even if it's not next year. But yeah, we'll see what happens. And if they do find a way to get through this series, Doc's job is for sure safe. So we'll see what happens from here.
Yeah, Ryan Smitty thinks possibly Nick Nurse or maybe even Sam Cassell. But the only thing with Cassell is, I mean, him and Glenn Rivers are pretty tight, so you don't know if he'd want to take his buddy's job. That's kind of.
I say it all the time. Cassell's going to have jobs other places. You're not going to take your boy, the guy who gave you the chance to be on his coaching staff's job. That's like taking your boy's job.
Yeah, and it's tough. I love Sam Cassell. I'm a huge fan of him, and I think he's going to be a terrific head coach. I would love it if it was with the Sixers. He's had interviews elsewhere. It surprised me that he hasn't gotten a head coaching opportunity yet, because I do think he is a brilliant basketball mind, and he's just so great with player development too. Tyrese Maxey's a huge product of Sam Cassell, of the way that they work together and the growth that they've put. So I do think he's going to make a terrific head coach someday. I think it's unlikely it's with the Sixers, but I wish that it would be that way. I would love for him to be the guy representing the team, but who knows? He's going to be great wherever he ends up, and I think that's probably going to be sooner rather than later.
Yeah, Cassell was such a clutch player too. I remember hitting some really big shots for Houston. I mean, he was, and even Milwaukee, the year the Sixers played him in 01, he was a pain in our ass, that guy, man. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But hey, listen, Sean, I really appreciate you hopping on with us, man. And it's always great talking Sixers. Let's hope we win 2 in a row, and let's hope next time we're talking, we're making a championship run.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you guys for having me on. And yeah, there's a lot at stake over these next the rest of this week and how these next 3 games go. So yeah, hopefully next time I'm speaking to you guys, we're on celebratory terms.
Yeah. Yeah, let's do it. You want to give a shout out where everybody can see? I know I see the Gambler down there. I know you always say.
Yeah, for sure. You can check out Pick Swap Media on YouTube for all my content and a couple other cool podcasts coming through there too. Dropped one on my a couple more complete thoughts on kind of the whole how yesterday's game was, the James Harden experience and all that. So you can check that out. And yeah, you can catch me on the radio at Fox 102.5 The Gambler. I'm on Saturdays 11 to 1, and I'll be throughout the week between 3 and 6 calling into the Daily Ticket with Sean Bray. So I should be on tomorrow to talk about all that stuff. And yeah, feel free to tap in with me and follow me on Twitter at Sean_Bernard1.
Hey, thanks a lot, Sean.
Thanks a lot,
man,
Sean.
let's get
Appreciate it,
these W's, man. Play the song.
Play that song.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope so. So I appreciate it. I'll talk to you guys soon.
All right,
Thanks for coming on, man. Have a great night.
Have a good
Yeah.
one. Oh man,
Great.
yeah,
Nice.
always fun rapping Sixers, bro. You know. So
Yeah. So where we at with it? What we doing?
as far what are we doing? Well,
Yeah. Next topic.
okay, give me a second.
Just busting balls. Just busting balls.
I know I had a brain fart for a second. My bad. All right, so we didn't give our predictions though. I mean,
Yeah. Give our predictions. What do you think, Joe?
I was gonna say we're just a bunch of
Hooligans.
yeah, whatever.
Experts.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. All right, so what's your prediction like for tomorrow night and the series?
Let's start with you. What's your prediction? You always get us all involved. What's your prediction, Joe?
Well, I hate to say it. I know Ryan Smitty. I already went over this. I know Smitty's watching, and I really hope I'm wrong, but I called it beginning of the series. I called Celtics in 6, and I hate to say it, but I'm still feeling the same way. I'm sorry. I hope I'm dead wrong. Please God, let me be wrong. But I think the Celtics win tomorrow night, and I think they come here, and it's one of those games that's a really tough game towards the end, and the Celtics find a way to make a couple plays, and we lose here on Thursday night. Hope I'm wrong, though.
Yeah, I couldn't agree. I couldn't agree more. I think this is, if you watch these games, Boston's wins were a little bit easier than ours. You know what I mean? And then our wins, we had to really fight to get them wins. Now you're going back to Boston. It's probably going to be another easy win for Boston. And then we're going to have to pull another one out from our teeth in Game 6. I just think Game 6 is where our luck runs out.
Well, and I agree with what you're saying, but Game 2 was an anomaly to me because that was Embiid's first game back. We were coming off a big emotional win in Game 1.
True.
You know how road teams and I said this. I hate it. I hate when teams go, "Oh, we're all right. We stole home court," because 9 times out of 10, the opposing team comes and wins one on your court, and you're right back where you are. I feel like you got to play every game to win. You know,
you got to play like Schweiss.
But so the Sixers got their ass kicked in Game 2, and they were trying to incorporate Embiid. So that game, to quote Jalen Hurts, that's like a turd you flush down the toilet, right?
Yeah.
What Jalen Hurts said a couple years ago at a Cowboys game.
Yeah.
So I won't really touch on that. Now, Game 3, it's everybody. The Sixers played absolutely horrible. I mean, Maxey was like 4 out of 17. Harden was like 4 out of 16, whatever it was. We still were only 4 points down with like 2.5 minutes left in that game. So as bad as the Sixers played, they had a chance in Game 3. So really, it was only Game 2 that was the game that we had.
Yeah, but even in that game with a minute and a half left, they were up 8. The game was pretty much a wrap. We, in the last seconds of the game, have to hit a shot and pray that Marcus Smart shot didn't get off all the time.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I'm not arguing that fact. I'm just saying though, it's not like game. Yes, we were down 8 with a minute and a half. I agree. It was a little easy, but a few plays here or there. I mean, the reason we lost Game 3 was I think a lot of rebounds. Like it was Boston getting second and third shot opportunities. And they.
But it always seems to be that though when we play Boston. They always get the big rebounds. They always get the big blocks and the big steals. Ryan
Smitty said he thinks there's a lot. He thinks there's a lot more tension in Boston than people realize. A lot of tight sphincters up in Boston.
I agree. Well, like you mean between like Tatum and Brown? Like a lot of tension there?
I think he means just in general Boston. I mean, because if you think about it right here, here's his point right here. He said Boston had the chance to step on our throat yesterday, 105-100, and choked. That's in the back of their minds. I could see that.
That could be possible. Or they could also be like, bro, we had no business being in that game. We were down 16. We had no business being in that game, and we got back in that game in their house. Tomorrow's going to be cake. If you're Boston, that could be your train of thought. Or it could be like Smitty said. They could be like, damn, we had to win that one, and now they're starting to get a little pressure on them.
Do you think with Embiid's injury, do you think he has that superstar game in him? I mean, he's playing all right, but do you think he has that? Because
he's going to have to.
We gotta hope, right?
Yeah,
if we win this series, he's going to.
He has to. It's either put up or shut up, or once again go home. And I don't think that's in the back of their minds. I think they want to prove the people wrong.
Yeah,
I mean,
I kind of agree with this a little bit. Joe Mazzulla is about to be out coached. I think that's a hidden thing with Boston. I think they missed they missed the coach that they had last year. That guy did a hell of a job.
Yeah.
I think Doc has out coached Mazzulla all series besides one game.
Mike Lauro says Sixers aren't winning 2 out of 3 in Boston. I kind of agree, Mike, but hey, we gotta hope, right?
Yeah, I mean, we agree. Me and Joe both got Boston in 6 still, so we definitely agree with that.
I'm right there with you.
Bill Woodmander, what's up, Bill? How you doing, bro? Thanks for checking us out. He said, "Well said, killer."
Thanks,
what's up, Bill? How are you?
What's up, Bill?
Ryan Smitty said needs to win 1, don't need 2. Yeah, but I think Mike's talking about we would have won. If we win tomorrow, we in essence would have won 2 out of 3 in Boston. I think that's what he means. So, all right. So I gave. What did you give your prediction?
Boston in 6.
All right. So
yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm going to stick to it.
Yeah,
unfortunately, but
we're a bunch of Debbie Downers here. We're all picking Boston in 6. Yeah,
prove us wrong.
The thing is, after they won game 1, I was like Sixers in 6. You know what I mean? But then we watched the next 3 games, and it seems like a struggle to us.
Here's Dennis Brandow. He says, I don't think Embiid is 100%, and if the Sixers take Boston out, then believe Embiid might be 100%. Then that's true.
100%.
I mean, let's be honest. I mean, I know the Lakers are playing great ball, okay, in the West, and you got Denver as a hell of a team, but the Sixers and Boston could be the 2 most complete teams in the NBA, and it just so happens they're meeting in the second round of the playoffs.
Yeah. They're 2 of the top 3.
That's what right. And it's just unfortunate that it's the second round. I mean, if we were opposite conferences, this would be an NBA final. I mean, both teams. They had 2 of the 3 second and third best record in the NBA.
Yeah, but no matter where you look at it, a 2 and a 3 is always going to be it's always arguably going to be the best matchup of the second round. Well,
that's true. Yeah, but especially this one though, because I feel like
look at the other series. Denver is it Denver and Phoenix, or they're 2 and 3, right?
Denver. No, Denver's 1 and 4.
4. Okay, 1 and 4.
And then Golden State and the Lakers are 6 and 7.
Yeah, 6 and 7. Yeah. Man, we were in the West.
I know. Dennis says Sixers and 7.
That's what I'm talking about, Dennis. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, we need some positivity in our lives.
Yeah.
Ryan Smitty says Harden and Embiid are going to carry them these next 2 games with Tucker, lockdown D, and we're going to see Maxey have a game. I hope so.
Hey, Smitty was right about Jalen Hurts. So I'll never doubt him again. You know what I mean?
Hey, Smitty was calling Jalen Hurts all year last year.
Yeah, so I'm not going to doubt him. I'm not going to doubt him at all. Let's go, Smitty.
Bill Woodmander, bring back Jimmy Buckets. Well, if we lose this, John, let's go get Jimmy Buckets. One more, Ryan's Sixers and motherfucking 6. All right, baby.
Let's go.
The man has spoken. The opposite of John Lee. The opposite of Lee. Everything that dude says goes to shit. Ryan Smitty's been right about a bunch of stuff.
Everything he said is the gold.
Dennis Brandow says he just looks off still. They are definitely top 3 teams. but take Boston out, and that will definitely get the Sixers in the championship mindset. I agree.
Okay.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
And Dennis,
I feel like this is their championship. This has always been their biggest, their toughest. Like I said, I'm a little lighter than Lee.
I'm a little late.
He also
well, that's not hard.
yeah, really. So, all right, okay, so the Sixers definitely have a chance. Okay,
this series is far from over. 2-2. We're saying we got two of the top 3 teams in the league playing each other here. A 2-2 series can go either way.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know what though? So since we're talking about chances, okay, I want to get into something here. It's a big night for hockey in Philadelphia. Okay,
it's a big night for hockey because they don't get generational players a lot.
Hockey has been dead in this town for a number of years. Okay, so hockey's been dead in this town. Oh wait, I got one more.
Since the bubble, really.
Ryan said he could see us in the shower.
He hasn't seen that in like 32 years.
Boston in 7 for Mike Lauro. Okay, all right. So we were. What the hell were we saying? What were we talking about?
Flyers. Trying to get lucky tonight.
Yeah, something that my man Lieb doesn't get much. Lucky. But anyway, all right. Sorry, John. Hate to crap on the dude, but it's Ryan started. Ryan started. No, but all right. So we're saying they say in Dumb and Dumber, right? Where they go, so there's a chance.
Yeah, you're saying they still got a chance.
Yeah. So the Flyers have a 6. What is it?
0.7.
A 6.7% chance of getting the next superstar in the NHL.
6.7?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like a 6% chance.
It is.
All right. Well, what's the lowest percentage?
I don't know, like 0.1 or something.
Hey, Mike, we get one. This team can get like Pittsburgh, Sidney Crosby in his prime scary. That's how good this Connor Bedard is. Just reading about him because I don't watch much hockey, but like I said, generational hockey players don't come around a lot. So when they do come around, there's a lot of articles and a lot of reading on them. And I just keep reading articles about how crazy good and how this kid's going to change the game. We get one and we get this kid. We're saying there's a chance to win a Stanley Cup. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. Mike Lauro says Flyers will get the #1 pick and draft the best goalie in Japan.
Imagine that.
0.5%.
2%. 2%.
6.5%.
Sean's looking it up. It says 6.5%.
First pick odds 6.5%.
Is that for the first pick or just for the first 2 picks?
First pick overall odds.
Oh, so yeah, we got a 2% chance, just like Dennis said.
Can't they rig that, John?
Never say never.
You know,
the Jersey Devils rigged it for like 3 years in a row. Didn't they get like back-to-back #1 picks?
Yeah, it was something like that. Well, Pittsburgh did too. Pittsburgh back when they got Crosby, I think they got whatchamacallit?
Malkin?
It wasn't Malkin. It was like Crosby and the goalie. What the hell was the goal? Fleury.
Fleury.
Marc-Andre
Fleury.
I was gonna say Malkin was up there. I think Malkin was like the 3rd or 4th pick or something. I don't think he was quite first, but yeah, I mean sometimes you need a little bit of luck. So
you need some luck.
Yeah,
that balls bounce our way.
Yeah, exactly. So let's hope the Flyers get lucky. Maybe we can get hockey back in this town. How about I mean, what's there else is there to say? Let's just hope they get lucky, right?
Yeah.
So before we get out of here, let's get into a little Phillies. The Phillies had lost playing like first off, the big guy came back. Bryce Harper came back this week. And
his first home run yesterday.
I was going to say his first game, I think he struck out 3 times, but the rest of the week he's been playing really good.
Well, didn't he go 3 for 3 the second game back?
Yeah,
right, with 2 walks, and then he hit a homer the next day. The dude's just a stud. He's just a great baseball player.
He's what baseball is, man. I mean, who would have thought a guy coming back, like Chris Sale said, back 2 months earlier from Tommy John.
Yeah.
You know, it's unheard of. But he's the final odds, and you know he's that kind of spark plug, and things are looking good. I mean, we had a rough series against Boston. At least we took yesterday's game. We didn't get swept, but we got a 2-game series with Toronto. I mean, I think things are looking good.
Yeah, with Bryce Harper, dude, when you're a freak athlete, your body does freak things. You know, you're built differently.
Yeah.
And that dude's just built different.
Absolutely. And another thing is to touch on the topic of lineup. I love the fact that Thompson finally moved Schwarber down to 5 after batting in the leadoff spot 0 for 19, I believe.
Yeah.
So
he hit a bomb.
Yeah.
Double
decker.
Yes. Well, not only did he get a homer, but he also got a RBI. I think it was a single, but he hit one in between first and second. More importantly, Taijuan Walker pitched well because
he pitched nice.
The Phillies are going to hit. Look, let's keep it real. The Phillies are going to hit.
True.
Trey Turner's eventually going to is going to go on a hot streak. Castellanos has been killing it all year. He's looking like the guy they signed from Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Schwarber will be hot and cold, but he'll eventually get on a hot streak. He'll hit like 10 or 12 bombs in a month, something like that.
Right.
And these guys will hit, especially when the weather gets warm. The big concern is the pitching. I mean, you know, not only is like guys like Bailey Falter struggling, but Nola and Wheeler are struggling out there, and that's concerning. But they got to find a way to get this pitching going. I was watching Pat and Mike's show yesterday morning, and they were talking about the Phillies pitching. And I actually commented to them. I'm wondering. I know he's a prick, but I'm wondering if the Phillies would take a look at a guy like Trevor Bauer.
I've seen that.
You know, I mean, supposedly he's over there in Japan.
I mean, they kept a double. They kept a double Herrera here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. In the same situation, yeah, absolutely. So why not? You know.
But I don't know. That guy's got a really bad look in the league right now. I don't think any team really takes a look at him.
I hear you, but I mean, it's not like we got to deal with them. I mean, just go out there and get dudes out. You know?
I didn't say I wouldn't want him. We asked the Phillies would take a chance at him.
No, I
think it all comes down to
I
like
got
what
you.
Diego's saying, organizational. Like, do you want something like that on your team? Look at Ray Rice, man. What he did to his girlfriend. You never. I mean,
well, I wouldn't want that. Yeah.
You know, different sport, whatever. But with domestic, he's gone. He's coaching high school football in New York.
Okay.
So he's done.
Speaking of guys that beat the shit out of, like, you know, that did some horrible things and like beat the shit out of their women and stuff like that. I saw somewhere is Greg, somebody put a meme or something. Is Greg Hardy, you know, Greg Hardy used to
working at Walmart?
Yeah, is he really working at Walmart? Was that the truth?
I don't know. He posted that himself.
Oh.
He actually posted that, like, about to go to work at Walmart, but then it kind of seemed like a joke post to me. He had like ha 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 at the end and blah blah blah.
Yeah, because I mean, unless he totally blew all his money, why would he have to work at Walmart? I mean, the dude made millions of dollars. He signed huge contracts.
Yeah, but just because you make millions don't mean you don't spend them.
Yeah, that's true. Look at Antoine Walker. That dude went through all his coin.
Yeah.
Antoine Walker signed like a $40 million contract. He's broke.
He thought he had friends, man. They took his money, man.
You live a lavish lifestyle. So when you live that kind of lifestyle and you make that kind of money, you have to invest your money for after your career is over because you're spending a lot of money. So if you don't put that money away, then you're going to end up broke.
But not
you're
only
spending so much money.
You find out who your real friends are, who your true friends are, and who the leeches are. And it's a shame, but that's the way it goes, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Miko Spencer, your Hardy lost his UFC contract. He's broke now. Well, maybe he is working at Walmart. Well, Greg Hardy, if you happen to be checking us out, though, bro, maybe you might want a DoorDash or something instead.
Nah, Greg Hardy, if you're checking us out, we got a spot for you right here at the bottom of the Sully squad, right at the bottom of the screen. You bring us some following.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, really. Yeah, we don't have to like him. We'll just bring him on. Just, you know what I mean. We'll just
Yeah.
he'll bring he'll bring some people. Dennis Brandale, he says, I wouldn't. This must be Trevor Bauer. I wouldn't want him in Philly at all. Ray Rice made a dumb mistake, but should have gotten a second chance. Vic got one. Yeah,
I agree with Dennis. Trevor Bauer, I don't want him in Philly. Ray Rice definitely made a dumb decision. Vic got a second chance. Ray Rice should have.
Right, but you got two different things: domestic and animal abuse. I mean,
yeah,
but both bad in the.
Yeah, but you get hammer with your girlfriend. I mean, listen. Never laid hands. That is completely wrong, in my opinion. But like, you get hammered and make a mistake like that. Vic was consciously killing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dogs.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing though. Doesn't it always usually come down to like if a team needs your talent? I mean, when that happened to Ray Rice lost a step. So it was easy for the NFL to be like, all right, I'll put it like this. Imagine if like Zeke Elliott, his like first or second year when he was balling the fuck out, right? Imagine if he made a mistake. I guarantee you a team would have given him a chance. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Possibly. Yeah. But Ray Rice, was already like in his like fifth or sixth year or something like that. He went from like 4 yards a carry to like maybe like 3.
Yeah, I hear you.
For like this dude lost a step. And guess what? You don't get that second chance when you lose a step. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's true. That's true.
Out of the Box Sports Network here says, great show, family. As always, future is bright as hell. Thanks for checking us out.
Thank you.
Dennis. Yeah, Dennis Brandale would know because he's a Raiders fan. He said a Ravens fan. He says Ravens wanted him, but NFL said nope. Mike Lauro here. Great show, boys. Thanks, Mike. Thanks for checking us out. So, all right, you know what? Let's before we get out of here, let's do a Phillies weekly prediction here. So I'm looking. By the time we come back here on next Monday night, we have Toronto comes here for 2 tomorrow and Wednesday. Then the Phillies go out to Colorado for 3. Now, Colorado sucks.
Yes,
Toronto's pretty good. So we play 5 games in the next 7 days. What is our record?
I'm going to say 4-1. I said we take two from Toronto and we take 2 from Colorado. 4-1 Phillies next 5.
I agree. I think yesterday was kind of the start of a little bit of a turnaround. Yeah, you're right. Toronto's got a nice team, but it's here. So we find a way to win one with Toronto, and then we sweep Colorado out there.
Right there with you.
4-1.
Agree with you, fellas.
Okay, 4-1. All right, cool. So, all right, well, we'll be getting into a lot more in the coming weeks. Next week we will be hopefully talking about Sixers Eastern Conference Finals, right?
Absolutely.
And hopefully the Flyers getting the number 1 pick in the National Hockey League draft. So we'll be bringing that up next week. And any other thoughts or comments before we get out of here, fellas? Diego, you got anything?
Go Sixers, baby.
Go Sixers. Play the song. All right. We'll wrap to you all later. And go Sixers, go Phillies, and get your lucky Shamrocks out there, Flyers. Orange Shamrocks, green Shamrocks. Win that friggin' first pick.